Hi, hello, and welcome to yet another Expat. Why am I shouting like this? Like I'm selling things in a Greek farm market like Yagora, Ela pare pare pare, which is the same as the Turkish markets here in Berlin. Biliga, 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 they're shouting. But here I am. Hi. Where does this podcast find you? I hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a good time. I hope you are enjoying the sun. I will keep saying this as long as there is sun, because it was a tough winter. My name is Ermis, whatever you call it. I bring thoughts, news, stories from Berlin, Greece, the world, and my head every Sunday for those who want to listen. Now, I'm going to open up with the fact that Greece has been voted as number one in the worst countries in terms of how complex their system and jurisdiction is for businesses. And this is globally. Greece is the number one in the list of the most complex business environment. And that's not just it. Greece has been number one for 3 years in a row. This is now according to a thing called the Global Business Complexity Index. It was released like a week ago. And it's basically saying something everyone knows. While many countries have streamlined their operations, especially post pandemic, Greece remains the global epicenter of complexity due to its unique combination of rigid bureaucracy and aggressive digital reform. I would also add to that nepotism, corruption, bureaucracy, and it comes as no surprise because if you start dealing with Greece in any sort of professional capacity, the first thing you will need is a lawyer and an accountant. There are plenty of them. They are all very busy. This is a profession that will never stop giving, and this is the only way you can feel you are secure in Greece. And I will just say, when my accountant in Greece, I've left Greece and I still have an accountant there, okay? This is how scared I am of the complexity. And it's not just that there's a lot of things, the amount of changes that are happening yearly in the laws and regulations is off the roof. I mean, Greece is number one globally, right? So it's as bad as it gets. My accountant had to attend so many seminars privately that keep you up to date with everything that is changing in the legislation. She would work all day, and then at night she would always have to watch something new that came out, attend a seminar, read a new update in some legislation that came out because things keep changing all the time. So I start with a nagging. For any administrative, legal, business transaction, you will have incredibly long waiting times, no sense of responsibility, zero effort made, even if it is often with kindness and nice attitude, aside from any public service. But I would just say that Denmark and the Netherlands are in the last positions of this index. So basically having the easiest jurisdictions worldwide. And that's something I've touched upon on this podcast, how everything works with one code, one number, one button, and you are done. In Greece, it's a thread. You need to go through the labyrinth and hope that the monster doesn't get you, or you don't step in a black hole or a dead end. Now, in this index, Germany ranks as the 35th most complex jurisdiction out of 81 global economies that were analyzed. So 1 being the worst, 81 being the best, German is at 35. Kind of makes sense. I expected them to be in the middle. But I want to say a small thanks to AI here because I remember when I came to Germany, I had a legal question. It was basically I wanted someone to tell me what is the risk of something happening if I am operating in a gray zone. I will not explain more, but it was basically a risk calculation of what can go wrong. You need to, every decision you make in life depends on the risk. So I tried to find a lawyer and I just wanted to pose a very specific question. If this and this goes on, do you think are the chances that something, goes bad? For the answer to this question at the time, I had to pay 230 euros. So what I want to say with this is having ChatGPT is not so horrible sometimes. Because what would be a question to one of these LLMs today was a 230 euro check for a lawyer telling me how the law works and doing an assessment. Now I have a few topics for today. Besides complaining about Greece and the complexity there, I want to touch on a few things on AI, a few things on parenting, and then to tell you about this project that I'm doing, and it's taking most of my time and energy, and it is the project I shared last week of making a game. I am still doing that. This is still happening. So, let's dive into the topics. Now, as you might know, I'm a dad to a 1.5-year-old boy, and I want in this podcast to document how does every different parenting stage looks like for your sake, for my sake, mostly for my sake, but it's good to know whether you are further ahead in this journey or more behind, what this snapshot of time looks like. So I would say at 1.5 years old, what has started to change is the ability that we have to almost communicate with him on more complex topics. He's not using many words, maybe 5 or 6, but he can understand what we're saying to a good extent. He can use hand gestures. He can say yes and no with his head very clearly. And he's able to understand a bit more complex topics like, we will do this after we do that, or hey, let's leave this toy now so we can go do the other thing, and holding each other accountable to the promise we made. So if, for example, I said, let's eat, and then we go in the balcony to look at the birds, if after we eat I go do something else, there's a chance he will complain and get annoyed, and then we might have to realize that, oh yeah, he's expecting the balcony, which feels very early for a child, in my opinion. But it also is very liberating to try and reason, because this is something I love. This is a struggle with babies. They don't reason. So this is one very interesting thing. We are almost able to argue, to exchange back and forth what we want and to find compromises. Now, the second very funny thing is that I think at this stage, kids, or at least our kid, has realized that he can be goofy. Like, he understands that he can make other people laugh, and he's very supported to be his own personality. So we never scold him if he does something silly, or I would like to say he has a lot of room to breathe. Maybe a few decades down the line, he will disagree with me, bash me for this podcast, but he does. So that means that he can go do goofy things and trying to see our reaction, or not necessarily for our reaction, but just because he likes it. He now has desires that are not just biological. Just to give you an example, I bought some baby boots for playing in the rain from a flea market. Now, according to my partner, and I agree, you should not buy used shoes for babies because the feet form the shoe and they need to have shoes that get formed from their own feet. So we decided we're not using any of the things I bought in the flea market, including these red boots. But now he has discovered them and he really wants to wear one of them. Not two, just one. He wants to wear this one red boot. He finds it exciting. And then he tries to walk around the house with our help. He doesn't walk alone. He walks by holding our finger. And he wants to walk around with his one big red boot. And that makes him very happy. And it makes us very happy as well. And this is how life rolls sometimes. He's sleeping through the night. So this is incredible. This is unbelievable. He sleeps at 9 and wakes up at 6. And life is good. But waking up at 6 is still hard. You know, they say that parenthood makes you into a morning person in the same way that being chased by a lion makes you a runner. So you just have to do it. It's not pleasant. I'm never going to be the 5 a.m. club person unless a baby is screaming in my ear. But we are much more used to it. But I can see it. I can see the intelligence building up and the desires or preferences building up and the ability to like argue or ask building up. And I know where this is going to. We are heading straight on for the horrible twos. This is how everyone calls them. It's the time between 2 and 3 years old, because this is exactly the time when kids realize they have free will and they can basically do whatever they want, and they have zero empathy and no understanding of the social contracts or how the world works. So this is the time between 2 and 3 where, I don't know, sometimes imagine this kid, is just on the road and walking at the pavement and doesn't want to move, and somehow they suddenly realize, do you know what? I think I can just lay down here. I think I can just lay down on the road. I just realized I don't have to get up from the road. I don't have to do anything. You have to drag me, mommy. Do you think I'll just lay down here? What? It's dirty? I don't care. I don't give a fuck. I don't even know how to put on a washing machine. These are all your problems. All I know is right now you want me to go somewhere. I don't want to go anywhere. So I'm just gonna lay down here. And this is something that will happen a lot in the 2 to 3. Have you seen these kids just collapsing in public spaces, having a tantrum just because they can and they don't care? That's it. That's the realization that they have free will. They don't really need to do anything. And we will suffer through it. And then the social constructs will settle in slowly. And this is how life will continue. But this is my favorite act of defiance. Just, it's like you turn the power off, like you deactivate a robot, they just bloop, fall down, and then they're like, that's it. You need to drag me. I don't know what you're gonna do. I'm not putting any more energy towards anything. I'm just gonna lie down here in the filthy, dirty pavement of Berlin. So buckle up and let's see how this goes. On the last baby topic, our time has come to finally give away some baby clothes. Now, for anyone going into parenthood, this is a thing. It happens. If you start expecting a child, you will have people that already have a child that want you to have a look at their stuff and maybe get some clothes or some items, some bottles, some sterilizer, some toys, whatever it is. There's so much baby stuff floating around that everyone is happy to just give away some for free or not. And we did this. I remember we were doing that. We were going to pick up different baby items from different people. And at that time that you do it, you haven't met the baby yet, it's still in the belly. You think you are preparing. You think that you are getting all of these things, and then the baby will come, and whatever needs it has, they will be met because you've made plans and you have bought all these things and you are ready and prepared. And oh boy, the gap could not be bigger. I would say it makes you feel good to own a bunch of things. And yeah, the baby needs to have clothes, of course, and all that. But it's also, a lot of it comes from the need of parents to feel they are in control, to feel that they can prepare, to feel that they have some control over the situation. And I remember when we were going, I would say yes to everything. I thought, I want to have all the stuff. Who knows what we will need? They better be prepared. And the other parents, they look at you and they smile, They say, yeah, of course, take everything. The reality is you're not going to use even, I don't know, a third or a fourth of the things. So many of the things you think would work, they just don't. Or maybe they never work for half a year. And then all of a sudden, it's something that your child wants to interact with or something that works. So you don't know. But what I want to say is that we finally went on the other side of this. We had some parents coming to get stuff from us, and we were finally the ones giving things away. And it felt, I don't know, it felt like we were on the other side of this river now. We know how it is. We can see in their eyes how they are filled with joy and stress and anticipation. And I could I could see how they want to accumulate all the things to be ready. And this is the thing. People have no idea. There is this global conspiracy, okay? I'm gonna lay it out there. There's a global conspiracy of parenthood that once you're in it, you just have to play along. When these people came, I couldn't tell them that none of these items will prepare them for their entire world being turned upside down. I couldn't tell them that they need to make sure the relationship is strong because it's gonna get tested like a small boat trying to pass the Aegean with 9 before of waves. I couldn't tell them that they will wish they were able to shower for at least half a year before life gets any normality. No, it doesn't work like that. We need to make them feel as good as they can before this unimaginable new reality hits them in the face. This is the duty of every active parent, to be a nice, welcoming Willy Wonka to all the new parents joining, because sooner or later they will find out there is not much they can do to prepare, and stressing over it is definitely not gonna add to the help. So we all just play along, and every parent goes through their own discovery journey, and then the initiation has happened. Then they join the club. When all the wild things happen, and parents wonder, is this normal? Is it normal the baby sleeps every 1 hour and eats every 1 hour? And when am I supposed to sleep? Yes, it's normal. It's just the first month. This is what you keep telling parents afterwards. Yeah, it's just a couple of months. It will change in 2 weeks. Maybe it's teething. Maybe it's the gas in the belly. Do these exercises. There are so many things that could be. And the point of all of them is to tell the person suffering that this is temporary. You will go to the next phase. Life will be better. The reality is, it's always going to be hard, just in different ways. And in the way that I love that I can almost converse with my son now, and I hate that he's throwing tantrums because he has things he wants to do that don't always fit with what life dictates we do. I also do miss the stage where it was just a tiny little puppy that would sleep on my chest all day, even though I couldn't move or leave or shower. So, point being, it all has its beauty, it all has its difficulties. The beginning is a big shock, and then you just get used to the craziness. It's like working in a startup, the first year you get bombarded with all the changes, all the things going on. After a couple of years, you're like a seasoned boat sailor. You know the waves will come, you'll surf them through, you'll try to find some calmness, and at the end of the day, life will go on. But okay, I'll get to the main point of this. I want to really talk to you about this game I'm making. But AI is coming, it's everywhere, right? Do you remember how we used to say, oh, this is Photoshop? And now we just say it is AI? Like Photoshop died. So many things died. We just say things are AI. Now everything is AI. I can't believe that everyone probably opened Photoshop for one last time without knowing it. But this is life, and AI is taking over. And there was always this myth that if you do everything right in life, you do a good study, you try hard, you do a master's, you go into a difficult field, then you get a good job, and then all of that. It's interesting how many thousands of people are being fired from Microsoft, from Google, from all sorts of places. People that did everything right, and still they're being replaced. And AI is changing the field, especially for any service jobs. But sometimes thousands are being fired by AI. And if you look at like a year before or months before, many companies are installing AI to monitor every keystroke, every click that the employees are doing. Now, when this happens, if this happens to you, it's a no-brainer that the clock is ticking. We're teaching the machines that will replace us, whether we want it or not. And this is a reality we will all experience. And we will see how the world adapts to this or collapses or whatnot. I'm not going to start saying how many billionaires exist now versus 20 years ago and how much wealth has accumulated. No, it's not this type. It's not this type of podcast. This is just a segue to tell you that I decided to use Claude, my good friend of these days, that one day will take my job. But until then, I'm going to have fun with him, it, whatever, to make a game. I decided a platformer, two-dimensional game, like Super Mario, if you are a millennial like me. And I want to talk to you a little bit about the process of making a game without knowing how to code, only with using your thoughts and imagination and Claude. Now, I'm also writing one blog post a day about how I'm doing with the game development. If you want to read that, I will put a link below. I also started a newsletter. I'm just collecting emails if someone wants to hear about these different projects that I'm doing, whether it's a podcast or something I'm coding or prompting or something I'm building and any of that. You can use the links in the description of this podcast and subscribe to the newsletter. And you can also sign up if you want to hear when the game will come out, because I'm determined it will come out, even if it looks very ugly. So this is a little bit on housekeeping. I want to be able to give updates on these projects in a text format as well. And now, without further ado, this is how the game building is working. I decided to use a game engine called Godot. The reason for that is that it works really well with Python, and Claude can write clean code in it. It uses vectors, which means that it can match any dimension and most art directions. It can work with Windows, iOS, Android, all of it, just with one code base. So you make the game once and it works for everything. You can play it on the web. I also have the game in progress in a link you can find if you want to see how ugly it looks right now. It changes every day. And basically, it's a platformer. You have this character, it moves and jumps around and avoids dangers and goes towards the end of each level. I have a big story. The whole story is to kill the AI. It sounds stupid and simplistic, but the game is called Pull the Plug. And the idea is that someone is breaking into like data centers and electricity grids and parts that have to do with AI and is taking it off one by one. And while he's doing that, the AI, this is how I'll call it, even though it's stupid, is watching him and talking to him the entire time. So there is a lot of dialogue happening. There is a narrator, and the AI is calm and not afraid and even enjoying the attention. But then later, as the game progresses, that becomes more complex. But I want to say that in this type of game, where basically I'm talking to Claude and then Claude is making the files and then I open the engine to see how they look, I had a few breakthroughs in the way that I work that really made the game development much faster. So this is what I want to share in this game. The moments of smartness I had where I told Claude how to be smarter than it is. Because these are times where that make me feel not stupid. Because most of the times when you talk to these AIs, you do feel stupid and you do get more stupid. There is research that shows that your brain is really not using anything when you're just commanding left and right. But the good thing is that these AIs are also pretty stupid often. So if you really think about it, so many times you have a better way to do things. So this is me patting me in my head, but I'll give you the shortcuts, the ideas that I put into this Godot engine to make my game developer much faster. First, I created a way to detach the camera from the player and be able to fly around. So I just press a button, the camera can flow around to see the entire level, and it has presets on my numbers. If I press 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, it goes on different parts of the map. So it can very quickly see different areas, the different zones of the map, without me having to navigate the player and go there and then take a screenshot and tell Claude, hey, this thing is not working well. So fly camera mode is one. The second one, I call it God mode. This is the same idea, but then it's inside the gameplay. So if I press the G for God mode, the player I have starts flying and goes through the walls and through everything, ignores gravity, ignores the hazard, the dangers, the death, nothing happens to you. And when you press G again, you become a normal physics player. So basically with this, I can very quickly take the player in any part of the map I want and activate them there. Because imagine if I have a very difficult level where I need to jump through all sorts of obstacles to get to the final zone, I want a very quick way to just go to the final zone and test the game there. I don't need to play it the whole time. So this has made the playtest time be much less. The third shortcut I put after a lot of thought, after a lot of pain, is one that creates a checkpoint. So in these platformer games, you try to beat the level, and when you die, you start from not the beginning, but from your latest checkpoint. But you need to decide, where do I put a checkpoint? Like how far in the game is a checkpoint and before a difficult part and blah, blah, blah. So now, when I play the game as a tester, I have one button that I press it, and then a checkpoint instantly gets created there and gets written into the game files and everything, like the whole coding side of it is done. I don't need to open the editor, I don't need to copy paste, I don't need to debug. No, it's just one button. Wherever I'm standing, I press it, boom, a new checkpoint is there. If I die, I will respawn there. Another thing is I wanted to try different characters, how they will look like in order to find the final character, the final figure of the game, which looks like a homeless person, by the way. But then I wanted to see how the character looks like, but I didn't want that to take a lot of time to load the game every time. So I created a way to cycle through characters as I'm playing. So as I play the game, in one button, I have put different characters. So I just press it many times and it cycles through the different characters. So I can see how they walk, how they run, how they jump, how they animate in a very fast way. So far, so good. I'll continue. There's a lot of things that happened in these 10 days I'm working on it. The game has a narrator, like the AI is talking to you, is taunting you, saying different things, trying to fuck up with your mind, and all of that. And because there is so much text that needs to come, I created a separate content management system where it lists every line that exists by zone, by game, by mission, by status, if it is live, if it's approved or not, if a line is missing. So basically, if I want to just work on all the dialogues of the game, I can do it somewhere separately without having to open the game and tell Claude, hey, on level 1, when the person says this, please say that. No, I have my own content management system with all the lines there. I can edit them, I can change them, I can save it, and that feeds into the game right away. Perfect. 2 more things and I stop. I created a custom Claude skill because many times I need to create things inside the game. Now the game visually looks really bad. I'm still working on the right way to put external things from packages of icons, things made with AI, things made from the game engine itself, and to blend this into something that doesn't look like a Frankenstein version. And to help me with that, I made a skill for Claude to understand the palette and scroll axis of every mission in the game. So it's able to create scenes for me, like to understand how to create backgrounds or foregrounds and where the things exist in the map. And the last thing I will share, and I'll stop. Very often I have to take a screenshot of what I see in the game, give it to Claude and talk about it. Because Claude, in the best of its ability, cannot know how the game looks like visually exactly. It cannot fully understand how everything fits together because it's so many different parts of code, and it just cannot compute the game engine itself. So it needs these screenshots, but it takes so much time to play the game, see something wrong, take a screenshot, put it in Claude, say what's the problem, then Claude tries to think for a long time, tries to solve it for a long time, and we just have to wait through. So I had an idea, and now I have created a new shortcut that when you are inside the game, you press the screenshot button, and it takes a screenshot, it gives it to Claude in a special folder, and it gives you a number. So it says screenshot 13, screenshot 14. So I can just do a playthrough, play the entire game, keep pressing the button every time that there is something I want Claude to see, and then it gives me the number of that screenshot. So I can batch all of the things. I can start talking to Claude and say, 13, this thing is wrong, blah, 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 blah. 14, this thing is wrong, blah, 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 blah. And Claude knows where all these screenshots are right away. So I don't need to do it one by one. They all feed into a folder that Claude has access. So I do my playthrough, I press the button, and then I put notes next to every one of them. And then I give all of them to Claude to try and solve. I know it all sounds very good. It's extremely frustrating. There's been so much back and forth, so many things that Claude forgets how to do or fucks up. So I'm still going at it. I'm definitely going to release it one way or another. Worst case, it looks like a horrible game that a 5-year-old child made. But I'll try to have good dialogues, so then there's at least that. So that's it for now. If you want to follow my game, if you have questions about it, if you want to join the waiting list, check the description. We can pull the plug together, kill the AI, and then go grow tomatoes. This has always been the plan, hasn't it? And I'll wrap it up here. I want to thank you very much for listening to this episode. Don't forget to rate it on Spotify, subscribe to it, put the bell on in case it doesn't tell you when it comes out. Share it with a friend. The word of mouth is the best way to do it. I was me, you were you. Today had a lot more of my updates, but I find it crazy that you can just talk to Claude and hook it up to a game engine and start making a game out of nowhere. I'm very excited about it and all the problems I'm finding on the way. I'm trying to create solutions for them, and I might be sharing some of these here. I was me, you were you. I will see you next week. Have a great one. Ciao!